They won't say it, but their actions scream it. Avoidants often struggle to put their feelings into words. Love, for them, is messy, overwhelming, and sometimes terrifying, so they rarely express it directly. But make no mistake, their affection exists, and it often speaks louder in action than in verbal confessions. If you pay attention, you'll notice the subtle ways they show up. It might be a random text in the middle of your day asking how you're doing, or remembering something you mentioned months ago that you thought they'd forgotten. These little moments aren't accidental. They are evidence of an emotional connection that runs deeper than words. An avoidant might not say, I love you, or profess devotion in grand romantic gestures, but they'll do the quiet things that matter. They'll show up when you're struggling without announcing it to the world. They'll remember the details that others might overlook, the way you like your coffee, your favorite book, or even a small anecdote from your past. They internalize these details and let their actions reflect that attention. Their love is not performative, it doesn't demand recognition or validation. Instead, it is often hidden, subtle, and even awkward because vulnerability is a constant battle for them. When they take the time to notice your needs, to support you quietly, or to make a small sacrifice on your behalf, it's their way of saying, without saying, I care about you and I'm invested. An avoidance affection is rarely about dramatic gestures. It's about consistency in the small moments that most people overlook. These tiny acts, checking in unexpectedly, offering help without being asked, sending a song that reminded them of you, are proof that they're thinking of you, even when they seem distant. It's important to understand that avoidance doesn't equal indifference. Their fear of emotional intensity, their discomfort with closeness, and their need for space can make them seem cold or detached. But if you can learn to recognize the language of their love, you'll see it everywhere. Every thoughtful act, no matter how minor it seems, is a reflection of a bond that exists beneath the surface. The truth is, avoidants express love in ways that are quiet, indirect, and deeply meaningful. Their silence is not emptiness. It is a space where their feelings exist, often hidden behind walls they struggle to dismantle. By noticing these small gestures and appreciating the subtle ways they show they care, you'll understand the depth of their attachment. Avoidants may not say the words, but their actions scream it. And if you're paying attention, you won't miss it. The quiet ones often carry the loudest love. Avoidants rarely announce what they do for the people they care about. Their love isn't flashy or performative. It doesn't demand recognition or validation. Instead, it exists quietly in the spaces between words and in the small, often unseen choices they make. These are the sacrifices that speak louder than confessions ever could. An avoidant might cancel plans to ensure you're taken care of, even when it inconveniences them. They may rearrange their schedule silently to make sure your needs are met. They won't tell you about it, and they certainly won't post it online. But these gestures, though subtle, are proof of the depth of their attachment. Sometimes their support comes in ways that are almost invisible. Maybe they notice when you're stressed and send a message to check in, or perhaps they quietly handle something behind the scenes so your life feels a little easier. Avoidants are uncomfortable with emotional display, so they often express care indirectly. You won't see grand declarations or dramatic gestures. You'll see consistency in actions, thoughtfulness in timing, and attention to details that others might overlook. These are their love notes, written in silence. The beauty of an avoidance sacrifices is that they don't expect gratitude. They don't need acknowledgement to feel fulfilled. The act itself is enough, a quiet, personal way of showing you matter. It's why their love can feel so intense once you learn to recognize it. Every small effort, every unseen adjustment, every little moment of prioritizing you over their own comfort is a reflection of their attachment. What makes this even more profound is that these sacrifices are often hidden behind the mask of independence. Avoidants protect themselves by appearing distant or self-contained, yet beneath that exterior, they care deeply. If you pay attention to the ways they go out of their way without announcing it, without fanfare, you'll see the unmistakable signature of love. The quiet ones often carry the loudest love, and when it comes from an avoidant, it's some of the most genuine, enduring love you'll ever encounter. When they pull away, it doesn't mean they've stopped caring. It means their fear is speaking louder than their heart. One of the most confusing things about avoidance is their tendency to retreat. When emotions get intense, when they pull away, it can feel like rejection, indifference, or even the end of love. But the truth is far from that. Avoidants don't distance themselves because they don't care. They do it because the intensity of their feelings scares them. Emotional withdrawal is a coping mechanism, a shield they raise to protect themselves from vulnerability, not a reflection of the depth of their attachment. When you understand this, their love becomes far easier to recognize and appreciate. Avoidants are wired to guard their emotions. Love is terrifying in its raw, unfiltered form. So when they feel overwhelmed, retreating is their instinct. It's a way to process, to recalibrate, and to avoid being consumed by feelings they don't yet know how to manage. Their silence or distance is often temporary, a space where they wrestle with their fears, anxieties, or insecurities. It doesn't mean the bond is broken, it means their heart is working quietly behind the scenes, trying to figure out how to stay connected without losing control. Recognizing this pattern is key. If you misinterpret withdrawal as a lack of love, you might respond with fear, frustration, or anger, all of which push an avoidant further away. Instead, when you see distance as a signal of inner conflict rather than rejection, you can respond with patience and understanding. Their love doesn't vanish in absence, it often grows in silence, in ways that are subtle, indirect, and profoundly meaningful. Think about it. The avoidant who steps back is the same one who quietly remembers your preferences, checks in unexpectedly, or goes out of their way to make your life easier. Their love is behind the walls they build, not absent of them. Learning to look beyond their withdrawal allows you to see the real connection beneath, the quiet affection that persists even when they appear distant. Emotional withdrawal is not the end of love. It's a sign of love in a language only those who pay attention can truly understand. They won't show it openly, but deep down, they notice everything. Avoidants are often misunderstood as completely indifferent or emotionally detached, especially in social situations. But the truth is, their care and attachment run much deeper than it appears on the surface. One of the most revealing signs of their love is subtle jealousy and quiet protectiveness. Unlike people who wear their emotions on their sleeves, avoidants rarely display obvious jealousy. You won't see dramatic reactions, confrontations, or over-the-top displays. Instead, their awareness is hidden in the small, almost imperceptible moments that hint at how much they truly care. An avoidant may seem calm or even indifferent when someone else interacts with you, but internally, they're alert. They notice the way you laugh, the people you spend time with, and even the smallest changes in your behavior. These observations are not about control. They are reflections of attachment. A raised eyebrow at a comment, a quiet question about someone new in your life, or a text that lingers longer than usual. These are all subtle signals that they are invested and emotionally tuned in. Protectiveness is another way avoidants show love without being overt. They may step in quietly when they sense someone is taking advantage of you, or they might handle things behind the scenes to make your life smoother. This isn't about being possessive, it's about caring in the way they know how. Their protective instincts often emerge silently because avoidants are naturally uncomfortable with overt displays of emotion. They want to ensure your safety and happiness without exposing their vulnerability or inviting confrontation. The key to recognizing these signs is paying attention to the nuances. Avoidance. Communicate love and attachment in ways that are easily missed by those expecting bold expressions. They notice the details others overlook, and their quiet attentiveness is a direct reflection of their bond with you. Their jealousy and protectiveness are not weaknesses. They are proof of investment, concern, and emotional connection. Understanding this helps you see past the surface level detachment and appreciate the depth of their care. In short, when an avoidant seems distant yet subtly engaged, it's a sign of love that exists quietly but powerfully in every careful observation, in every measured gesture, and in every small act of silent devotion. Every time they push you away, it's really a test. Can you stay without being pushed? Avoidants have a complicated relationship with vulnerability. Love feels both exhilarating and frightening because it requires opening up in ways that make them feel exposed. That's why one of the most common behaviors you'll notice in an avoidant is testing boundaries. When they withdraw or create distance, it's often not because they don't care, it's their way of checking if the connection can survive without suffocating them or being rejected. They need to know if their love is safe before fully giving themselves over to it. This testing can take many forms. They may pull back after moments of closeness, delay responses to messages, or create emotional distance when things start feeling intense. At first glance, it can feel confusing or even hurtful, as if they're rejecting you. But if you look closer, you'll see that these actions are a protective mechanism. Avoidants want to gauge whether you can respect their space, remain patient, and maintain trust, even when they threat. They are asking silently, will you stay even if I step back? Will your care survive my fear? For avoidance, love is measured not by grand declarations or constant reassurance, but by how safely it can exist alongside their independence. They need to feel that closeness doesn't trap them and that the relationship can withstand distance without breaking. Every boundary they test is a reflection of their internal struggle, a mix of fear, desire, and cautious hope. The more they feel they can explore their emotions without being smothered or judged, the more their walls soften. Recognizing this is crucial if you're in a relationship with an avoidant. When you respond with patience, respect, and understanding, you prove that your love can exist in a way that is both secure and non-threatening. Avoidants may never verbalize their feelings in a straightforward manner, but these boundary tests are a subtle form of communication, an invitation to show that your care is unwavering. Understanding this allows you to see their love behind the walls, not as a lack of affection, but as a measured, thoughtful, and profoundly genuine expression of attachment. When an avoidant shares their heart, consider it a treasure because they rarely do. Avoidants are notoriously guarded with their emotions, vulnerability feels risky to them, and exposing their true feelings can make them feel exposed or unsafe. That's why any moment when they open up about their fears, dreams, or inner thoughts should be recognized as something rare and valuable. It's not casual sharing, it's a deliberate act of trust. When they allow themselves to be seen in this way, it's a sign of deep attachment and emotional investment. These moments don't happen often, and they're usually brief, subtle, or carefully measured. Avoidance may reveal a worry they've been carrying, a personal goal, or a fleeting emotion, often in ways that feel almost accidental, as if they weren't sure they should say it. But that uncertainty is exactly what makes it precious. When an avoidant shares something personal, they are essentially saying, I trust you enough to risk feeling, even if it scares me. This is their version of intimacy, a gesture that goes far beyond words. It's important to understand that avoidants rarely express love through traditional means. Grand gestures, constant affection, or verbal reassurances. Instead, they communicate their connection through careful, intentional glimpses into their inner world. These rare moments are windows into the depth of their care. They show that behind the walls of independence and emotional restraint lies someone who values the bond enough to take a risk. Each shared thought or feeling is a signal that you matter to them, that they've allowed themselves to step outside their protective boundaries because of you. If you're on the receiving end of this openness, it's crucial to respond with respect, patience, and acknowledgement. Pushing them for more or reacting with judgment can close the window before it fully opens. Instead, honor it. Appreciate it and recognize it as a significant form of love. Avoidance may not constantly remind you that they care, but when they do let their guard down, it's one of the clearest, most authentic ways to know that they are emotionally invested. These moments are not just communication. They are a testament to a bond built on trust, patience, and understanding. In other words, rare though it may be, their openness is a treasure, and it's proof that love exists even behind the walls. They may forget to say, I love you, but they never forget the little things about you. Avoidants often struggle to express their emotions verbally. Saying I love you or openly declaring affection can feel overwhelming, even impossible. But that doesn't mean they don't care. In fact, one of the clearest ways an avoidant shows love is through memory. Remembering the smallest, seemingly insignificant details about you. These are the quiet signs that reveal attachment, attention, and genuine care. It might be the way they recall your favorite snack, a story you told months ago that seemed minor at the time, or even the exact way you like your coffee prepared. While these gestures might seem small or ordinary, they carry a deeper meaning. I'm paying attention and you matter to me. Avoidants use these subtle acts of remembering as a way to communicate their connection without the vulnerability of words. They may not post about you on social media, write love letters, or declare their feelings in grandiose ways. But when they bring up small details or anticipate your needs, it's proof that they're constantly in their mind. These moments show thoughtfulness, consideration, and attentiveness, qualities that are sometimes harder to find in people who are more outwardly expressive. For an avoidant, love is often expressed quietly, in ways that aren't meant for the world to see. The beauty of this form of love is that it's consistent and reliable. Even if they appear distant, their memory of your preferences and past experiences signals that your presence in their life matters. These little things act as invisible threads connecting you, demonstrating that attachment exists even behind their walls of independence. An avoidant may struggle to say the words, but they show care by internalizing details about you and allowing those details to guide their actions. Understanding this is key to recognizing the love of an avoidant. When they remember the small things, it's not trivial, it's intimate. It's proof that they notice, value, and prioritize you in ways that are quiet but profoundly meaningful. So next time an avoidant recalls a detail you thought they'd forgotten, take it as a sign of deep attachment. Their love isn't loud or constant, but it's persistent, attentive, and undeniably real, even in the smallest gestures. You might not hear it, but they're silently guarding your peace. Avoidants are often seen as detached or emotionally distant, but one of the most powerful ways they show love is through protection. They may not make grand declarations of care, but they quietly step in to shield you from stress, drama, or emotional harm. Whether it's deflecting unnecessary conflicts, offering solutions behind the scenes, or simply being present when life gets difficult, their protective acts are subtle yet deeply meaningful. These gestures may go unnoticed by the casual observer, but for those who understand avoidant behavior, they are a clear demonstration of attachment. The avoidance love manifests not in words, but in action. They don't need to announce that they are taking care of you. They do it quietly, intentionally, and often without seeking recognition. This is their way of showing that they are invested in your well-being. When an avoidant prioritizes your safety, comfort, or peace of mind, even in small ways, it's a reflection of the bond they feel and the trust they place in you. Their care is not performative, it's practical, protective, and profoundly intimate. Understanding this requires looking beyond the surface. Avoidance may seem aloof or self-contained, but beneath that exterior lies someone who notices, values, and safeguards what matters to them. Their love is a silent force, often invisible to those expecting overt demonstrations. By recognizing these subtle acts of protection, you begin to see their affection clearly, a love expressed not with words, but with quiet vigilance and consistent care. If you're happy, they'll find a way to match it, even if they pretend otherwise. Avoidants are highly attuned to emotional energy, even if they appear emotionally reserved. One of the ways they express attachment is through mirroring your emotions, often in subtle, almost imperceptible ways. They absorb the mood around them, and even when they seem detached, their internal responses reflect empathy and connection. If you're happy, they experience a version of that joy, and if you're upset, their attention often shifts quietly to support or understand you. These mirror moments are not dramatic displays. They are nuanced reflections of the bond they feel with you. Mirroring is a form of emotional communication for avoidance. They may not verbalize their feelings, but their actions, energy, and subtle cues reveal alignment with your state of mind. A small gesture, a thoughtful message, or a change in tone can indicate that they are resonating with you on a deeper level. This shows that beneath their guarded exterior, they care, empathize, and connect in ways that are profound but understated. Recognizing these mirrored responses helps you see the love that exists behind their walls. Avoidants may struggle with direct expression, but through careful observation, you can notice the patterns of attunement, responsiveness, and emotional alignment that signify attachment. Their mirrored behavior is a quiet, powerful way of saying, I see you, I feel you, and I am connected to you, even when I don't say it out loud. When they drop the walls, you're seeing a side of them only a few ever do. Avoidants are masters of emotional self-protection. Vulnerability can feel dangerous, exposing them to rejection, judgment, or emotional overwhelm. That's why they rarely show their true selves, especially in romantic or close relationships. But when they do, even for a brief moment, It's one of the clearest signs of trust, attachment, and love. These moments are not casual, they are deliberate, calculated risks where the avoidant allows someone into a space of themselves that is normally off limit. If they let you witness fear, sadness, or confusion, it's not a slip up, it's an intentional act of connection. This kind of openness is precious because it doesn't happen often. Avoidants are constantly guarding their emotions. So when they allow themselves to feel fully in front of someone, it signals that they believe it is safe with that person. Even small admissions, sharing a worry, expressing discomfort, or admitting a past mistake carry enormous weight. Each instance is a window into their inner world, a rare glimpse of a heart that is usually behind walls of independence and self-containment. Understanding this is key to appreciating avoidant love. Many people misread these moments as weakness, overreaction, or fleeting emotion. In reality, vulnerability for an avoidant is the ultimate expression of trust. By allowing you to witness these raw emotions, they are saying, silently but powerfully, I trust you enough to show you my fear, my imperfection, and my humanity. Their love doesn't need to be loud. It is demonstrated in these moments of quiet risk when they step beyond the safety of emotional distance to connect with you authentically. These rare glimpses also reveal the depth of attachment. Behind the guarded exterior is someone who feels deeply but is cautious about how much they reveal. By honoring and valuing these moments, you reinforce the trust they've placed in you, allowing for even deeper connection. Avoidants may not constantly share their feelings, but the moments when they do are profound markers of love and care. When you witness this side of them, recognize it for what it truly is, a deliberate, courageous, and intimate expression of attachment that only a few ever get to see. Love isn't always a text or a call. Sometimes it's a quiet presence. Avoidants are not typically expressive in traditional ways. They often struggle with verbal declarations, grand gestures, or consistent overt displays of affection. But this does not mean they don't care. Far from it. One of the most distinctive traits of avoidance is that their love often comes through indirect, subtle acts. These actions are quiet, sometimes easily overlooked, yet they carry deep meaning for those who understand the language of avoidant attachment. Their love is less about saying, I love you, and more about demonstrating care in ways that feel safe and authentic to them. An avoidant might leave small notes for you, share a song that reminds them of a memory you both share, or send a link to something they know you'll enjoy. These gestures might seem minor on the surface, but they are deliberate attempts to connect and communicate affection without exposing themselves to vulnerability. In their mind, these acts are powerful because they show thoughtfulness, attention, and care, all without the emotional intensity that comes with overt expression. Each indirect action is like a breadcrumb, quietly signaling, I'm thinking of you, I care about you, you matter to me. Their love is also demonstrated through presence and consistency in small ways. Avoidants might not call frequently or send long emotional messages, but they show up when it matters most. They remember details about your life, subtly offer help, or check in ways that are non-intrusive yet meaningful. These are indirect expressions of love, often designed to maintain connection while protecting their emotional boundaries. It's their way of balancing closeness with the independence they need, creating a form of attachment that is both safe and enduring. Ultimately, recognizing these subtle acts is like learning their secret language. Avoidants may never express love in the ways most people expect, but their indirect actions reveal a thoughtful, attentive, and genuine attachment. Their love may be quiet, but it exists everywhere. In the notes they leave, the memories they hold, and the little ways they make sure you feel seen and valued. When you notice and honor these gestures, you're acknowledging the authentic, often hidden depth of an avoidant's heart. Every time they push you away, it's a secret question. Can you love me even when I act scared? Avoidants have a complicated relationship with closeness and vulnerability. Love is something they want deeply, but it also terrifies them. Because of this, one of the most common behaviors you'll notice in an avoidant is testing your patience, deliberately or unconsciously creating tension to see if you can withstand their fear, unpredictability, or emotional withdrawal. When they push you away, it is not a rejection of you personally, nor is it a reflection of indifference. It is a protective mechanism, a way for them to measure whether the bond can survive even when they are at their most guarded. These tests often take subtle forms. They might retreat emotionally after moments of intimacy, delay communication, or respond in ways that feel distant or even cold. To an outside observer, it could look like confusion, inconsistency, or lack of investment. But for those who understand avoidant attachment, these moments are actually profound expressions of attachment. The avoidant is asking a silent, unspoken question. Will you stay? Will your care hold steady even when I act afraid or distant? These tests are not about power or manipulation. They are about security. They need to know that love can exist without suffocating them, that it can persist even when fear drives their behavior. Understanding this dynamic is essential. If you are in a relationship with an avoidant, reacting with frustration, anger, or impatience often pushes them further into their walls, creating distance instead of connection. Instead, responding with calm patience and consistent care communicates that their fear will not repel you. This is exactly what an avoidant is seeking: evidence that attachment can exist safely without judgment or pressure. Every time you respond with understanding rather than reaction, you reinforce the stability of the bond, allowing their love to emerge behind the shield they carry. Recognizing these boundary tests as signs of attachment changes everything. What might feel like rejection or inconsistency is, in fact, a form of communication, a complex, cautious way of showing that they care enough to risk vulnerability. Their love is not absent. It is carefully hidden beneath layers of fear and self-protection. By noticing, respecting, and responding to these moments thoughtfully, you can see past the walls and understand the profound attachment that exists behind their behaviors. Ultimately, testing your patience is their way of asking for trust. It is their subtle invitation to prove that love can be steady, even when they falter. And if you recognize this, you begin to see an avoidance love for what it truly is: cautious, protective, and deeply real, even when it is not spoken aloud. So yes, avoidance love you. Not in the way everyone else does, but in a way that matters. In the silences, the small gestures, and the rare moments they let their guard down, if you learn to see it, you'll never doubt it again.